Hello there, welcome back to the channel. It is Richie here from Dowie After Dark. Rock and Stone, how are all of you today? So today it's going to be a little bit different. I'm not going to be talking about rules. I am actually going to be doing an army showcase of my dwarves that I have painted up this year. It's been really nice just to jump into the old world with 2 feet, and it's been an amazing year so far. I have absolutely loved the old world since it's come out. Obviously going to lots of events, starting this channel and talking with all of you at home. It has been an amazing experience, and it's amazing to see how the community has grown into, I think, a really positive place, especially on this channel. The comments are always so positive, and it's just really nice to see. Obviously, there are those naysayers out there that don't like the old world, but me personally, I am absolutely loving it, and it's just been a great year for gaming, in my personal opinion. Now, I started this dwarf army at the beginning of the year specifically for the old world. I do have an old 5th and 6th edition dwarf army that I may dust off all the cobwebs from and show a little army case of that at some point. Might do that over the Christmas break, but here is my dwarf army. I hope you like it. So here we have the mighty host of Karak Drak. This has been a really fun project this year. So for anybody that doesn't know, at the beginning of the year, one of my friends, Jamie, unfortunately, it turned out that he was diagnosed with cancer, and basically he ended up having some time off. Luckily, he managed to beat it, which is amazing, and we're all really happy for him and really proud that he managed to fight through. But he did have quite a bit of time off work, and bless him, for my birthday, he knew that I wanted to start dwarves for the old world, and my birthday was in January, so he decided that he was going to print me a dwarven army from mainly Highland miniatures, and this is the result of a lot of his printing and also some extra models. He did an absolutely great job. He's an amazing guy, and I just wanted to say thank you right at the beginning of the video. Now, I wanted to create a theme for the army going forward, which basically was the army of Karak Drak. Now, the reason that I picked this dead Karak is because this is the only point in the entire history of the old world where I can run this particular Karak, because it is destroyed in the Great War Against Chaos, which is coming with Avasar Kul. And I really liked some of the little hints of fluff that we got. It's the farthest most northern hold that the dwarves had, which means it would have a slightly Norse Scandinavian stylings, and I really think that the Highland miniatures really show this off quite well. I've also got in there some of the Screeball miniatures, which I use for some of my heroes, as I think they're really well detailed, and the character that he gets in them are really good. I've also got some of the White Angel miniatures in there as well, because they are very nice too. So right at the beginning, when I was in the design steps for this army, I chose the red and black, which is the Karak Drak, and I also wanted to add in a color which was going to make them pop. So I decided for any of the weapon runes or on the Iron Drakes or any of the gun runes that are going to be on the artillery, I wanted to do a bright pink glow. Now, I know a lot of people online ask me about this, and they sometimes don't like it, but I think it really pops. Just mainly because my paint style, I tend to go quite dark with everything, and I just really wanted to try and make them pop. Now, as you can tell, I haven't just gone for normal units. I've decided to put extra stuff in, so I've got like goat riders in the warriors. I've got trees that count as warriors, basically to make the army look like it's a kind of on the march through terrain. Down here I've got the pirates, which count as my rangers, just because I really like the models and wanted to get them to fit in. Now we have the Longbeards at the front. These stoic defenders, I decided to model them both with hand weapon and shield and the great weapons, just to kind of show that I'm going to be using them as kind of both going forward. So starting on the left, we have my runesith, Dory Tholickson, and he is there with his lightning in his hand, ready to cast the Rune of Calm. Next to him, we have a bit of an inside joke for anyone who knows me and also knows my partner, but that is Angry Amy. She is a runesmith that I've painted up to look like my partner, and anytime that she gets in a fire, I will basically say, right, Angry Amy's going to hit you. And it's been quite fun to use a proxy of my partner in the game. If you knew her, you would probably understand why. Now, on the right-hand side of her, I have my gun thane. He's holding a handgun and also has a nice little glow on his hammer. Now, this is an engineer model, but I think he works quite well for the gun thane. Up above them, I have my hammerers. I do actually have 35 of these painted, but I never ever use that many. So this is just a unit of 20 that I would probably normally use in a game. In there, I have the first king that I painted up for the army. So this is the Highland Miniatures King, which is absolutely stunning on the shield bearers. Now, the reason that I don't have the wings on the helmets is because I broke it, because I'm quite ham-fisted, and it's a really spindly part. So I ended up just not actually using those. And I don't really think he needs it too much. For these, I went for a bit more of a regal paint scheme. So it's kind of a dirty down silver with lots of brass and golds. And I really liked how these models come out. Another thing that I like to put in my units are the statues to go along with the trees, making it look like they're just marching through their lands, ready to defend their holds. I am a massive fan of centerpiece models for my armies, whether that be a BSB, your king, or the anvil. So I just wanted to make sure that those were painted probably the nicest, because that's what people are going to be looking at. And also I just kind of wanted to use the coolest models for these that I possibly could. Now, for my kings, obviously I started out using the Highland Miniatures King, and that came with me to one event. I decided I wanted to change out to something a little bit more, say, different or unique maybe, and I swapped out to the king that's been coming with me on many fights recently, and this is Snorri Pig Rider. So you can see him here with his golden armor riding on a plated pig, using him as the proxies for shield bearers. On the left hand side of him, that is my Bear Thane shield bearer proxy. So if I'm ever running a BSB, so this is the Thane that's going to be marching forward and saving all of my Dowie. On the left-hand side, I have a unmounted on shield bearers BSB as well, which I am currently using as my Runesmith BSB. I know obviously he doesn't look too much like a Runesmith, but unfortunately I haven't painted up a model yet, as I really just haven't had time. But as soon as I do, then I will get round to doing it. And then here on the right-hand side, I have the new white dwarf that I've painted up from the White Angel Miniatures, and I just randomly put him in units to kind of, for me, I really like the lore, and the White Dwarf would just randomly turn up at different points in different battles to try and save the day. So I would just randomly put him in different units, whether that be warriors or thunderers or rangers, just to use him as a normal dwarf from that unit. But I just like the idea of the White Dwarf turning up in times of need and protecting his Dowie kin. Then for the main rock that I like to build my entire army around, because I absolutely love the anvil, this is my Anvil of Doom. I absolutely love this sculpt, and I just wanted to make sure that I could get the entire thing on a base. Now, it does come in the rules that the base is non-applicable, so you can make the base as big as you want or as small as you want. For competitive games, it's much better to have a smaller base because things find it much harder to hit you. So anything that was scatters would be much easier to hit this. And I have found it a slight hindrance in games because people are able to hit it a lot easier, able to shoot it a lot easier and pin it down, and I can't just hide it between units. But I just love the way that it looks, and I definitely won't be changing it anytime soon. For this, I wanted to make it look like a sacred site for the Dowie that had been standing there for generations. So I've gone for rust effects and verde effects so that it looks weathered and aged, with the snow on top of the rocks, and then a pink glow coming from the anvil itself to signify that the runes had been struck. For my clansmen, which are normally the backbone to my grand army, I wanted to make sure that they looked like they were marching to war and had as much character in there as possible. Like I said before, I like having the goats in there, the trees, just to make them look like they're walking through the scenery rather than just standing upon it. Behind them I have my bolt throwers. With these I wanted to put the pink glows onto the weapons just to signify that they're completely roomed up and ready to do some serious damage. At the back here we have my cart. This is a conversion where I use some rocks and some screeball dwarves holding beer barrels. Now I just wanted to make it look a little bit different because unfortunately I'm not a massive fan of the old Games Workshop model. Now I have bought one and it does go with my old dwarves, as this is a brand new project, as I have only just started this army this year because I wanted to paint up a brand new army for the old world, but I do have my old 5th and 6th edition dwarf army which I may show off in the future, but I might have to get some dust off it first. So on my extreme left flank I've got a unit of 5 thunderers which I painted up at the beginning, but unfortunately I never painted up any more of them just because I haven't really used them that much. And then the first lot of iron drakes that I had. Now these are Games Workshop models. I painted these up obviously with the pink glows, and then I kind of ditched them after 1 or 2 tournaments because they just don't really fit in with the same kind of aesthetic as the rest of the army. So I just ended up moving over to the Highland Miniatures ones, as I feel the Highland Miniatures ones really fit in with the aesthetic of my army. For these I went with a brass and then a blue wash over the silver just to kind of signify that they've got the Gromril armor, which is the same as the Ironbreakers. Now there is something glaringly missing from this army, and it is my Ironbreakers and a couple of cannons. Now, the couple of cannons I have lent out to one of my friends because he's proxying them for some different cannons. But my iron breakers, unfortunately, after my last event, I dropped the box they're in and smashed them. So I am going to have to start my iron breakers all over again, unfortunately. But then again, I always love painting dwarves, so that's not too big of an issue. Behind the iron drakes, we've got the organ gun. Now I painted this up to have the runes glowing nice and pink, and then put in some scenic trees on the base just to look like it'd been wheeled into a vantage position and it could start raining death down upon the enemy. Up behind these, and also behind that tree, which is potentially in the way, I do apologize, are the two models I like to use as my grudge throwers. So one is a Highland Miniatures grudge thrower, which I've done a nice glow on the rock to signify that it's full of runes. And then behind that, I also have the Screebore cannon on back of bear model. Now that I like to use as a grudge thrower, kind of looking like a mortar, I suppose, just to keep a little bit of variety in the army, as I do have a couple of bears and goats kicking around. So I do try and mix it up a little bit. And then a little bit around the back, we also have a couple of the gyrocopters, which I have been painting up recently. I have only got 2 of them ready so far, unfortunately, but hopefully there will be an army of them soon. I'm hoping to get them done over the Christmas break, as I have a little bit of time off. With working full time and doing videos, I'm just struggling with time at the moment, but I will get them done soon, and I will also share my army list for them going forward. This army has been so fun to work on. I've really enjoyed every kind of step of the way, trying to make the army as characterful as possible, and I've been really blessed to be able to win Coolest Army a couple of times this year as well at events. Thank you everyone for voting for me. It does actually mean quite a great deal. And also thanks to Jamie for initially printing me the first lot of the army. So the first event that I went to, I ended up using a big unit of hammerers with a king, and I think I made him toughness 10 in the hammerers so I could be really defensive. But then everyone decided to just run away from me. I didn't run any iron drakes in the first army that I took to an event, but I did take a couple of big blobs of infantry with the hammerers. I didn't take an anvil either, because at the beginning I didn't think that the runes were very good, but I did take a runesmith with no runes of spell breaking either. But I still managed to do quite well in the event. I won 3 games and drawing 2, so I found out that the dwarves could be very defensible and quite hard for the opponent to chew through. I took from that I needed some more range in the army, so I started painting up some more ranged units, some rangers, which I'd use as the pirates down here, and then also the iron drakes as well. So I went more a bit of a combined arms detachment to start with, but I found out that you need to kind of go into one way or the other with the dwarves. So you either go quite melee focused, relying on the anvil, or you go fully shooting in a gun line. I did take a full gun line to one tournament, which was the LGT, but I really didn't enjoy that kind of playstyle, as that is a playstyle that people hated the dwarves using in 8th edition, and I can genuinely see why. But the thing is, the shooting's nowhere near as good this edition, so your opponents hate you, but you also don't do as much damage, which is slightly annoying. Now, to my sins, the entire army is painted with contrast paints. A lot of the metallics are done with Sharpies. Basically, how I painted the entire army is sprayed them black, dry brushed them with silver, and then I would put really coarsely on. Anywhere that's red, I would use the red contrast paint, which is the Flesh Tearers contrast paint. Then the areas that are black, I would then put a black contrast paint over the top of that. And then anywhere that's brown, I would put Cygor or wildwood onto those areas. So whether it be the beards that are brown or onto the wood areas. And then on any of the brass or the gold areas, I would use a brass or a gold Sharpie, just because it's kind of easy to get into those areas. I then would put a brown Agrax wash over the entire model, quite thick, so that it kind of dulls down the model quite a lot. Then I would go in with highlights, and the way that I would highlight the reds is just literally mix the contrast paint that I used with white. And then I would use that on the black areas as well. So I would mix the black with a white, highlighting up to grey. And then once I've got all of those tones in, I would then do the skin. Now, the skin is the bit which actually took the longest to do, especially onto the rangers, which are the pirates, as these guys over here are majority skin tone. So for the skin tone, I would use a dwarf flesh, and then I would highlight that up with dwarf flesh mixed with white, and then I would add a red wash over the top of that. I like to use the GW red wash for this, as I think it settles quite nicely. And then once that's been on, I would then highlight up again, just on the highest areas, and then I added tattoos onto all of my models. And I have actually put tattoos on every single model in the army. For this, I used the Storm Fiend contrast paint, which is a nice dark blue, and it goes on really nicely as well. And it's really fun to try and make your army look different to everyone else's as well. Like I said, I really enjoyed this project. It's just been really fun to try and make your army completely unique and just have fun with it. I absolutely love the dwarves, and it's just fun to kind of paint models that are in a slightly different style to the old GW sculpts as well. As these are from Karak Drak, which is in the far north, I do think that these sculpts really work for that as well, as they have even more of an ancient dwarven stoic feel than some of the GW models, especially the newer GW models as well. I think these models definitely show of a race in decline, clinging on to the old memories from the holds. I do think that the Royal Clans is probably my favourite way to run the army at the moment, as you can just run big blocks of infantry looking like a proper dwarf army as you slam into the opponent, drop a shield wall and start defending and killing them with true dwarven steel. And yes, I am a bit of a dwarf freak, as Rob likes to call them on the Square Base show. So yes, I do have names for all of my characters. I have the hold history and basically the story of why they're going out to fight to defend Karak Drak. Now, if any of you have got any of this, please let me know down below. I would love to hear it, the stories that your Karak have. I've heard some of them. I would love to hear the rest of them. There is a lot more that I'm going to be trying to paint next year. The X-Force army is going to be coming soon. And then after that, there is going to be a Slayer army coming. I haven't shown off any of the Slayers that I've painted because I'm saving that to do a full rundown when I've got the full army painted up. Like I said, it's been so fun to work on this army, and I have had an amazing year of the first year of Old World coming out, and it's just been so nice to rekindle the passion for fantasy, and it's been so nice to see that the community is growing, and everyone that's on my show has been so positive, and it's been amazing to see. May Old World continue, and hopefully the dwarves can come down and reign supreme from their mountain holds. Thank you all so much for watching. It's been an absolute pleasure to share this with everybody at home, and I hope that you liked the army. Now, there's going to be a lot going forward next year, so a couple new dwarf armies going forward. So by next December, hopefully the hold will have doubled or tripled in size. Now, please feel free to drop your army names down below and where your Karaks are from and your little backstories behind your armies. I do always love to hear them. So now I'd like to do a special thanks to the channel members. We have Magic Machek, Close Order, Tim Pitcher, Tom Boller, Roll the Initiative Gaming, Wasted 13, Anthony Cruz, Volta Ignacio, Marco 1981, Omega Minus, Moyax, the Iron Bear Clan of Karakathul, Medium Matt, Sakuda, and Morpheus 23. Thank you all so much. It means so much that you are supporting the channel and supporting the mighty Karak Drak. I'd just also like to say that if you've liked any of these models here and you want to get those 3D sculpts for yourself, then head over to UK Resin Prints and you can get them printed. There is also a link down below in the description. Now, if you wanted to get 15% off that, either put the code DOWYAFTERDARK, fully in capitals in, or just message Tom privately and tell him that Richie sent you and you can get a nice discount on those models for yourself. Now, thank you so much for watching, everybody. Rock and stone!
In the night of stone we march so bold, with our sharp and heart so cold. Through halls of old, our vengeance sparks in shadows dark. It's Dowie after dark. The grudge is held for years untold, and ledgers kept where blood runs cold. In caverns deep, the drums they roar will settle scores in Dowie lore. The grudge is held for years untold, in letters kept where blood runs cold. In caverns deep, the drums they roar will settle scores in Dowie lore. Under mountains watchful gaze will end the feuds of ancient days. With iron will and spirit stark will bring the light in Dowie after dark. Golden gems shall guide our fight through endless tunnels lost tonight. The hammer falls, the anvil sings, in Dowie's name our battle rings. The mountain forges fury red, our enemies shall quake with dread. In caverns grim our legends start, we strike as one in